good to have a pro-Palestinian agenda. It's not only good, it's absolutely needed if you don't want the Middle East to explode in the face of the world more than it exploded already. Rachel Corrie's story is important in the Middle East. It's not as known as it is here. It was just a little item in the news the day she was killed, because people get killed every day, you know, and so many Palestinians and many Israelis have been, I mean, you know, we live with death, so it's not like for the Americans, she is the only American citizen who was killed in the Palestinian territories, but for us it's different. But still, I was very moved by the story, because it was the first time that somebody who came to protect the Palestinians was killed. It was the whole notion of protection, of non-violent resistance, who was really, it was a red line which has been crossed. They went there, as far as I know, to be with Palestinian families, to live with them, to help them. The Israeli army at the time started demolishing these civilian houses, really one after the other, because they were aiming to create a no man's land along the border with Egypt. And so, you know, they started trying to protect these people from having their lives destroyed. And by the very fact that they were sleeping in these houses, calling by megaphones to the soldiers that there were internationals there, so, you know, hoping that this will stop the soldiers from shooting. And actually it did many times. And trying to prevent the bulldozers from demolishing homes of just, you know, normal, completely innocent and already very poor families. Really, the word manipulated is so horrible, because it shows it's very insulting towards them as well as towards the other, you know. You have to be a very weak personality to be manipulated, you know. They knew what they were doing, and they knew why. They were politically conscient, you know. I was a peace activist when I was their age, you know. I was demonstrating against occupation when I was 25 years old as a younger Israeli. And our generation failed completely, because the situation is much more horrible now than it was. More settlements, more killings, and so on. So we failed, and now it's on their shoulders. All this mess that we couldn't solve, and we just, as I said, it's worse. And I have the feeling that they are more lucid than we were, because they know, we believe that we will solve it, you know, that it will be enough that a few thousands of Israelis will stand up and say, hey, we don't want this occupation, we want peace, we have the Palestinians to have their own state, and we want equality for everybody. We were naive enough to think that it will be enough for all the world to understand, you know, and put pressure on the government, and they are not so naive. They know that even if half of the Israeli population is against the occupation still goes on and gets tougher and tougher. And they know that Israel can bomb in Lebanon and bomb in Gaza, and, you know, the international community says, oh, it's not nice, but still they will let them do it, and no sanctions, and nothing is happening. And the Israeli governments are more and more extremists and more right-wing, and it's really a catastrophe. So this young generation, they know all this, they are more lucid, and still they are struggling, and without much hope.